Come take a look at one of the limited edition figures from Forge. This is the Horus Heresy Ultramarine Legion Herald, and he's actually pretty cool. Spiking bits. Alright, welcome back, Hobby Maniacs. Rob Baer with you once again today. Taking a look at this fantastic miniature that was available for a very short time, I think just a weekend, from GW stores. It was one of those crossover promotions, like you come into the GW and pick it up if you spend X amount of money or whatever. I actually don't know how it worked. I got one, I had to trade a guy for it, and then I actually got two, and I'm sending one out to Kenny out at Next Level Painting so he can do one in his tutorials, because obviously don't need two. And he's like, yo dog, hook it up, and I'm like, I got you. So I'm gonna be really interested to see. I think he's on a Alpha Legion kick, so that'll be really cool to see how he does all that with this guy. But we will see how that one turns out for sure. But as the rules go themselves, it's not exactly, I don't know, it's not like, to me at least, it doesn't seem like a must-have for my army. And of course it is kind of locked into that Ultramarine motif where, you know, you can't really do anything with these unless you want to shave it off and change it up, maybe use some of the brass etching or something for Forgel. But if you're willing to invest that much time in this miniature, it's a great looking model. I mean, it just looks dope right there. And it doesn't really matter. I mean, they say this is Venetaris or whatever his name is, the savior of Calth, but it could really theoretically be anybody. It's just a generic thing. There's a little rule set right there, and then there's the components themselves. Now, once you open it up, and you probably remember the early pictures of this guy was very unflattering, to say the least. He looked like a chunky monkey, to be quite honest, and that, as you can see from the pic, really isn't the case. Like, if we give him a chance, this is a great looking miniature. I feel like there's a lot going on there and a ton of detail that you can see. Like, there's the components. You got the standard of Axilla, whatever you want to call it. I guess Vexilla is a whole different thing that can be mounted on your backpack. Power sword arm, head, little shouldered or holstered sidearm. This great looking cape, flowing cape, you know, with the whole Mark IV kind of armor, and then the actual body itself. So you can customize this bad boy. Or you should. Let's see. Let's get this in there. There we go. You should be able to customize this guy. Of course, the arm you might have to do a little bit of work to. There's some doodads and stuff in here as well. But overall, it should be a quick conversion if you're used to shaving things off. But you can tell by all the detail and everything right there. Studs. There's all sorts of stuff. Like, it's a great looking miniature. I love this guy. I have one. I may work him into my Ultramarines army. I'm not exactly sure how, or if it'll even go along with my Rights of War, but I can always just have a dude standing there with a standard too. There's no rule about that for sure. Now, inside here, they have the specific rules for playing him in 30k. This isn't 40k rules. This is straight up 30k. Now, he's an Ultramarine designated Legion Herald, but as far as the Ultramarines designation go, that's really just for the Rights of War. The rest of the stuff is upgrades that you can take. You don't have to take it for 125, because the way this guy points out, it's actually starts at 50 points, because I think you have to take him as a Praetor, and then you can upgrade him through, or Centurion, not the Praetor, so Centurion, and then you upgrade him to a Council, or Consul. So he starts at 50 points, and you upgrade him, and then you start tacking on all the stuff he has, like the power weapon, the refractor field, which is a 5-up invulnerable, the artificer armor, and then it really starts like getting kind of costly. So you don't necessarily have to field him this way. Now, he does have the banner of the Aquila, which is just a friendly standard, which I'm going to show you in the actual rules for the guy here in a second. All of these special rules are pretty much the same, but like I said, you could, you know, kind of slot them out depending on how you wanted to field it. So if you're thinking about playing them just as a generic model in the Horus Heresy, you can kind of tell right here, this is where you start. 50 points for the Lord Centurion, and then you have to specialize them based off what that right there in red, which is the Consul special rule, which we're going to slide through all the other ones to the standard. Gosh, there's a lot of them. Okay, so then he becomes the Herald and an additional 40 points. And the main draw to that, which you just saw in those other rules right there, is the banner type special rule. Whoops, well, not that one. That one's just extra victory points, no big deal. Is the banner type, and not the dark banner, because that's for the bad guys, or the good guys, depending on how you have a view of things. The banner of the Aquila, right there. So every loyalist unit with Legion of Starter special rule within 12 gets +1 to their weapon skill up to a maximum of 5. So in combat, they're going to be hitting on 3s, generally. Depending on what specialized troop or anything you're going up against. And then, of course, it has the right of command. This being an Ultramarine one is going to have the Ultramarine right of command, which was in book 5. So you got to get that. That's actually not in this book here. This is just the generic red book version of it. So you want the Age of Darkness one, I think it is, the one that just came out recently. And that's pretty much it for special rules, okay? But keep in mind, this is 40 points, and then if we go back to spot right here where you've got all his doodads. He comes with the bolt pistol, he comes with power armor, he comes with the power weapon, so you don't have to worry about that. But then they start tacking on all these additionals here, like the refractor field, the artificer armor, yada yada yada, and he starts becoming more expensive. So, and actually I think there was a typo here, because this says he comes, oh, that's for the Terminator. Okay, so you do have to pay it. That makes sense. So it would be 125 because you're adding the refractor field, which is 10, the artificer armor, which is another 10, and then the power fist, which is, or excuse me, the power weapon, which is 15. So that's 35 plus 50 base plus 40 for being upgraded to the standard. So that makes it 125 all day. So it's a neat little miniature. I can kind of see why some people are getting down on it, because just the way it is. Like, he's not super useful in a lot of different armies, but he's still pretty good in my book, I feel like. And he's a very characterful model that, I guess if they had left him a little bit more modular, more convertible, he might have appealed to a broader audience. So maybe that's a little lesson learned for GW, who knows. I still think he's a dope model, and obviously there's a lot of Ultramarine players out there, but don't be scared to try something new. Get in here, convert, scratch off some of these Ultramarine symbols and kind of give it your own Legion feel for whatever chapter you might play. And of course you can just use them in 40k as pretty much whatever you want, and just as long as you pay the appropriate points cost for them. So that's it for this one. Errors, omissions, clarifications, please leave them in the comments below.
Deleted scenes, bonus content, and all the interviews and post-game wrap-up videos can be located in the Hall of Veterans on thelongwar.net. Visit thelongwar.net today and try a week completely free with no strings attached. That's not all. Thelongwar.net is also your hobby resource for exclusive early access with an ad-free experience to all your favorite videos. Members of the Hall of Veterans gain early exclusive access to multiple hobby videos,